our life searching for the sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Such a waste of existence.
Earth is rising. Anxious Earth is rising. I'm so happy.
We spend our life searching for the sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Such a waste of existence.
Hi, this is the Double Tribble channel. My name is Ron, and I live in rural New Hampshire, surrounded by forests and wild animals. Wait, I'm still a cartoon. Hold on.
Hey. All right. Welcome to the Double Tribble channel. As the cartoon said, my name is Ron. I live in rural New Hampshire. I'm surrounded by wild animals, and sometimes I stream about that. Today I'm testing out some new hardware and stuff that I tried to piece together. It seems to be working. I've been playing with it all day. Seems to work, but the camera freezes sometimes. I don't know why. So we'll see if that happens while I'm actually streaming. Hopefully not. Yeah, if you're watching on a VOD, this is a live stream. It's really scuff. It's always scuff. And I talk about a lot of stuff. It goes on for a long time. It's not like an edited down thing that you see on YouTube videos, you know. So if you saw a title and you clicked on it, you said, "Oh, I want to find out about this thing." Well, it's not. You're gonna have to scrub the video a little bit to find out what you're looking for. What is it? Hopefully, it's worth it. The name of the stream is "Testing Do Not Come," but I have some stuff planned. Actually, it's more than just a test. But I wanted to try it out. I wanted to try out my new hardware, so that's what I'm doing. And my last stream, I had audio issues for some reason, and hopefully this new hardware does not have that issue because I changed everything. I mean, literally, I mean, I changed the whole computer and everything. It's a completely different computer that I'm using now. But it's, I was able to keep the software intact, so that was cool. I didn't have to reinstall a whole bunch of stuff. All right, so this is a test. Let me test out some things just to see it, some things work here.
That's what I said. That's what I said. That's what I said.
Yeah, okay, well, that worked. All right, and this is a test.
Do not come. Do not come.
Yes.
Do not come. Do not come.
Yeah, do not come. It's a test. Do not come. It's a test. All right, so I got this is working. I got some things to play with here now. I got some different stuff that I can work with. All right, I'll just go through the stream. I'll just try to do a stream, and we'll see if it works. If it works, cool. If not, well, I told you not to come, right? All right. So let's see what we can do here. What I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna redo the stuff that I did last. Oh, hey, hi, Memloss. How are you? Hi. Hi. Welcome to chat. Yeah, that was quite a words on stream tonight, wasn't it? We were over at Eram's stream, or this is Twitch stream, right? For those of you who are watching on the VOD, and we were in another stream. We played this game called Words on Stream, where you try to guess words from. They give you anagrams, and you try to figure out what all the anagrams are. Anyway, it's really hard, especially for folks like me who have dyslexia. But I actually got a couple. There's some a lot of really good players tonight. I mean, just getting the words left and right, and clearing the board in like 30 seconds and stuff like that. It was pretty amazing. So I think what I'm going to do is the mic is still working cool. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to redo what I did on the last stream. The mic cut out right when I got to my conspiracy theory stuff. Here, let me just. I'll put my title put a new title in here and actually try to do a real stream here. Because what I did last time is I tried to do a conspiracy theory. I'm trying to do, for those of you who are not familiar with the stream, which is probably assume is most of you, a new thing that I'm doing on the stream is I'm trying to get fake or things that sound like conspiracy theories, but they're not. Okay, so it's the first one I did was on the NASA's Mercury mission, and so the conspiracy theory on that one was that NASA never actually landed any astronauts on Mercury in the Mercury mission, and that's my conspiracy theory. So you get it, right? And so the other one is chemtrails. Now this one's a little bit different. On this one, I'm just saying the conspiracy theory is that jets flying way up in the sky are spraying chemicals out into the air. The chemtrails. You know that one? That's the conspiracy theory, and the idea is that the conspiracy theory has to sound like a conspiracy theory, but be true. So the one about NASA and Mercury, yeah, it's true. NASA did not land astronauts on Mercury. That's true. And this one is, yeah, it's true. Airplanes that fly up in the air are spraying chemicals out into the air. Harmful chemicals, some of them. And that's true, because they are doing that. It's not a conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory, of course, is that they say there's a government cover-up, and they're spraying out the chemicals because they want to poison people, or they want to do this or that or whatever. It's not just that they're spraying out chemicals, because that happens when a plane flies. They're not doing it intentionally. That's just a byproduct of the combustion of the jet fuel, and it sends out a whole bunch of chemicals. But there's no cover-up about it. In fact, here's a document. I'll show you this document here, which was in the. Let's see, did that show up? I don't know if that showed up or not. Yeah, okay. Did it? Yeah, all right. This is a document that was written by the Air Force. And here, there's a URL for it if you want to read it. Anybody who's interested in this, I'll put that in chat so you can read it. Okay, sorry, we're going to have a little bit of inception here for a second. There we go. All right, that's in chat. So the Air Force wrote this big, long thing, apparently in response to the conspiracy theory. I don't know, contrails, and they're called contrails. They're not called chemtrails, even though there are chemicals in the contrails. It's what you see is the condensation of the moisture. It spews it. The combustion creates moisture. Humid air, water rather, and the water as vapor, and then the water condenses because it also puts out little particles, and for water to condense in the air, it needs, most of the time it needs nucleation sites for it to condense to solidify onto, to turn into water droplets, and that's what you see when you see the jet way up there, all the fog, or what are the, here, let's see, they got pictures of it here somewhere in here. There you go, like this stuff. See that? That is, I'm going to flip back here for a second. Okay, those are the condensation, right? The air gets sucked into the jet, into the front of the jet engine here, and the fuel that's in the wing gets sucked in there too, and it burns and it turns the turbine. It does a bunch of stuff, and it spews out mostly water, but a lot of other stuff, and the water condenses up in the air because it's cold up there. So, and there's another one, and there are a whole bunch of pictures. Here's a picture of them doing a test where they fly behind the jet airplanes, and they got a little sensor sticking out in front of the plane that is following them, and it's measuring chemicals that are coming out of the jets. So they did a whole big thing about this, The wingtip condensations. This is different. This is let's see. It says a different type of contrail or condensation trail is caused when a wing surface or winglet causes a cavitation of air in very humid conditions. This results in a unique vapor trail that is not formed due to exhaust gases. The next time you fly in a commercial aircraft through a rain cloud, look for vapor trails that form over around the wing. Typical fighter wingtip contrails are shown below. So that's, you'll see that. Like if you see a jet that suddenly pulls up very quickly or something like that, it'll do that. It'll if you see a jet flying along and it pulls up very quickly, and if it's the right conditions, it'll cause really high higher pressure or lower pressure? I forget. behind it must be lower pressure, right? And it will cause a condensation that way. All right, let me see here. Okay, I was trying to switch that. Did that work? Did I say this was a test stream? Yeah, I did, didn't I? All right. There we go. That's what I was trying to flip it back to me so I could give you gestures of how the airplane was going. Anyway, there we go. So they figured out all the different chemicals that come out of the thing. I mean, this is a really long. This is like 14 pages. They're talking about this stuff. They got into more than just contrails. They got into all kinds of different stuff, pesticide, crop dusting, and just all the different things where you would have chemicals coming out of a plane. Let's see if I can find that section here where they were talking about the chemicals that come out of the jet engine. It's like, nitrogen oxides and all kinds of stuff here. Let's see. Is that it? There it is. Water vapor, carbon dioxide. That's a greenhouse gas, so that's harmful, right? So it's harmful chemicals. technically it's sending out harmful chemicals. Small amounts of nitrogen oxides. That'd be just nitrogen monoxide, or just nitrogen oxide, and then nitrogen dioxide, and hydrocarbons. Those are non-hydrocarbons that didn't get all the way combusted. Carbon monoxide, which is again is a like a partial, happens when there's a partial combustion of the fuel. Instead of making carbon dioxide, it'll make carbon monoxide. Sulfur gases, soot, and metal particles. And then the particles that it sends out are what help the water vapor to condense and make the trails. So, anyway, yeah, you can read about that. So that was my my conspiracy theory. That's a conspiracy theory. So it's not. Oh shit! We gotta. My thing's froze up here. All right. I don't know why this is doing this. I think I'm gonna have to. All right, we're back on again. So that's gonna. I'm gonna have to pay some attention to that and do some more troubleshooting and figure out why that is freezing like that. All right, so that's chemtrails. Conspiracy theory number 8: chemtrails. So yeah, and the conspiracy theory that they come up with is like, things like they're spraying it intentionally in order to, I don't know, cause people to get sick or to track people, or I don't know, it's typical type of stuff. Let me I think I'll bring up the Wikipedia article on that, and you can see chemtrails conspiracy theory. Here we go. All right, so let's see. Proponents of the chemtrail conspiracy theory find support for the theories and interpretations of sky phenomena, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so talking about why they think that is. Let's see if they have any specific beliefs. Here it is. Okay. Various versions. Let's see. A 2014 review of 20 chemtrail websites. Okay, 20 chemtrail websites found that believers appeal to science in some of their arguments, but do not believe that academic or government employed scientists, or don't believe what the government. So in other words, that little report that I showed you from the Air Force, they wouldn't believe that, right? They'd say, "Oh, it's a conspiracy. They're trying to cover it up or whatever." It's like, that's how these. When people have these conspiracy theories, that's how they keep their belief going. Whatever facts they get that are contrary to what they believe, they'll say, "Oh, whoever wrote that report is in on the conspiracy," right? And it's like, okay, that it doesn't. Facts aren't going to help, right? For somebody who's like that, who thinks that way, there's no, you can't convince them. You try to convince them. You give them facts. They say the facts are fabricated by the conspirators. So. All right. So it says that they do not believe that academic universities. Okay, scientists and federal agencies have consistently denied that chemtrails exist. Explain the sky tracks are simply persistent contrails. The review also found that believers generally hold that chemtrails are evidence of a global conspiracy. Global conspiracy. Okay. You know what's kind of interesting on this is when I heard the about this chemtrail conspiracy, I said, "Oh, that's a bunch of nonsense. It's only water vapor. There are no chemicals in it." That's what I thought when I heard the conspiracy theories. But it's turns out it's true. There are chemicals in there. Beside H2O, right? Of course, there's H2O, right? But there are other chemicals in there, some harmful chemicals that are in there, besides water vapor. But the beliefs that they have are, kind of wacko. Let's see. They say chemtrails are evidence of a global conspiracy. They argue that various goals, which include profit, for example, manipulating futures prices or making people sick to benefit drug companies, population control, weapons testing, use of weather as a weapon or testing bioweapons. One of these ideas is that clouds are being seeded with electrically conductive materials as part of a mass electromagnetic super weapons program based around high-frequency active aurora research program. HARP. Okay. The chemtrails are toxic. Some of those chemicals are toxic. That is true, but they're way up there, and they're so scattered that they probably don't harm very many people. Review found that they generally hold that every person is under attack and often expresses fear, anxiety, sadness, and anger about this. Okay. 2.6 of the sample believed entirely in the conspiracy theory. 14% believed it partially. Analysis of responses given to the cooperative congressional election study. What the heck is it? What is that? Showed that 9% of the 36,000 respondents believed it was completely true that the government has a secret program that uses airplanes to put harmful chemicals into the air, while a further 19% believed it was somewhat true. Okay. So those are some of the things, right? They got all kinds of different theories, and that they aren't involved in conspiracies and stuff like that. So they're trying to kill people. They're trying to make people sick. Yeah, the other, oh shit, there goes my thing again. That's okay. We can fix it. No problem. Oh, it does that. So that's another conspiracy. These my fake conspiracy theories or whatever is that I said that the government has plans to kill people, and that was the conspiracy theory. I can't remember which one I did, and that one's kind of serious because it's true. The government does have plans to kill people, and they spend almost $1 trillion a year on those plans to kill people. So that's true. The government does have plans to kill people. That's true. But it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's not. I mean, you get it, right? But on this chemtrail stuff, I thought that their theories were pretty tame, actually. I mean, if I was going to make up a conspiracy theory, about chemtrails. I would say that it's actually aliens from outer space, and that the pilots of the airliners are actually aliens, and they're in on the thing. And the aliens put special chemicals into the fuel, and so that it sends out these chemicals, and the chemicals are designed to get into people and modify their DNA so that people slowly turn into the aliens, and then the aliens can take over our planet. How's that? Does that sound like a good one? That's pretty good. I thought that. I mean, if you're going to make up a conspiracy theory, why not? No, make it a good one. They didn't have that one in there. Theirs were just, government conspiracy theory or whatever. Anyway, so that's chemtrails, okay? It's not that big of a deal. It's just it's just what you see is the water vapor, but it does have chemicals in it. The chemicals are harmful. They contribute to global warming. I don't know how much. I don't think the other chemicals make people that sick. They probably do. The hydrocarbons and all that. It does make people sick. The exhaust from cars make people sick. So, but it's not a conspiracy. They're not doing it on purpose to make people sick. All right. So I also did a thing on the mouse. Let me see if I can. Part of that came out okay on my last stream. Let me bring up the. All right, this has got enough in it, I think. All right. So this is the computer mouse. Computer mouse is named for its resemblance to the rodent. Okay. All right, whatever. Mine doesn't look like a computer mouse. Mine doesn't look like a mouse. Here, look at it. Here's my mouse. It doesn't. It's cordless. It doesn't look like a mouse at all. I get it. The old ones did. When they first made it, that's what they look like. Here's what it looked like. The first one ever made. And the guy who invented this mouse here, it was a Stanford Research Center. What is it? Stanford Research Institute or something like that. Douglas Engelbart. I met him. In Monterey, California, a long time in the 90s, I think it was. Early 90s, I guess, yeah. And so that was kind of cool. But he's the guy who invented this thing, and he was working at the Stanford Research Institute. And basically they just gave him a bunch of money and said, do something cool. And he did. That's what he did. Augmentation Research Center. That's where he worked. And so some of the cool stuff he did was he invented a mouse. So that's pretty good. Huh? I think that's a good idea. I think we should do more of that. I think we should just, for people, who are smart and creative and just, don't fit in well with a an organization or whatever, but they're really smart and creative and stuff. I think we should just give them money and say, go have at it, come up with something cool, Yeah, not, it shouldn't all be that way, right? But I think we could do a lot of, invent a lot of interesting things that way. Let's see, there's another one, mouse from 1984. All right. Digitizer mouse, I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, this is the old style with the wheels. I remember those. What it is it's there's a little ball in there, and then the way the ball rolls ends up rolling the wheels. And the wheels use a little optical sensor there, so there's not a lot of drag on this. You know, spinning a like say a you know, variable resistor or something like that. You know, it's just optical. There's the inside of a mouse. See the little wheels there? The ball rolls, and when the ball rolls, it causes this axle here to turn, which causes this wheel to spin, and then this little opto coupler here. One of them is an LED, one of them is an optical sensor, and then this little wheel has little slots in it, and as it turns, it counts how many slots go by, and that's how that one works. But the newer ones have. Let's see if they got the newer ones here. Now you see this, right? It's got an LED, but then it has a little camera. Basically, it's a very low resolution camera inside the mouse. There's a little red LED that you see when you pick up your mouse. You see a little red LED, and then there's a camera, and it's a low resolution camera. And basically, what it does is it just takes a picture of the desk. that's all it does. It takes a picture of the desk as it's rolling around. It's looking at the features of the desk, and it watches them move and the direction that they move and stuff like that, and it calculates which direction and how fast the mouse is moving. That's how they work. And this one, like this one here, is a trackball, which is a different device. Really, it's not really a mouse, but it does the same function as a mouse. And it has one of these little balls that go in here. And it basically, what it does is it's got the same thing that a mouse does under here, with an LED light and a camera, except instead of rolling around on the desk, it looks at this trackball. And you notice this trackball has a bunch of I don't know if you can see that. Is this hang on just a second. Let me adjust my camera here real quick. Let me check and see if we've got anything going on here. Okay, nope. All right, I gotta adjust my camera here so I can show you what it looks like. This ball looks like really close up. It says it's got autofocus. I don't know what's going on there. All right, let me try harder. You see it? There you go. If you look really close, you can see that it's got little specks and stuff in it. There, you can see there a little bit. Anyway, it's got a kind of a textured finish to it. So as it moves by the camera can sense it and see which direction it's moving, and that's how it works. You just roll it with your thumb, and it's a lot easier. You can pick it up. I can do stuff with this as I'm talking. I can make the mouse go around. Pretty cool. Computer mouse, optical and laser mice. Right. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't just use an LED. It uses a laser. So the light is coherent. I guess that helps it somehow. I don't know. Inertial and gyroscopic 3D mice. Look at this. Wow. Okay. So they're getting beyond mice here. They're getting into other things here. Space ball. Look at that one. What the heck is that? Look at that one. All right. Anyway, I just thought it was kind of interesting to oh, here we go. Here's my trackball right here. There, you can see the dimples on it really easy there now. On that one. A lot easier than mine. So anyway, I thought that was kind of a cool thing. I just wanted to talk about that because invention of the mouse was kind of a cool thing, and it was they did this. They call it the mother of all demos now. It's I don't know why give it weird names, but it was this demo that that Engelbart gave when he was showing off the mouse. It's his discovery, and he was just doing all kinds of stuff. And I played. You can look at my last video. You can see the video part of it. You may not be able to hear all of it. I don't remember if I had the mouse or the mic working on that part of it or not. Anyway, so that was one. And then this Kinmen is the name of an island. This is kind of interesting. This is kind of an interesting fact that I found out. And I figured maybe there might be a lot of people out there that don't know about this. But this little island here is called Kinmen. Or it's a group of islands, actually. And it is part of Taiwan. But the interesting thing about it, it's not next to Taiwan. It's next to mainland China. Here's here's Taiwan, right? You know the story, right? You know the story about India, China, and Taiwan, right? Right? They're back in the 40s. They had a revolution after the World War II, and the communists took over, and they had a civil war, right? And the ones who were in charge before, they were losing the war, and so they fled to Taiwan and these other islands, and but the communists took over mainland China. So you ended up and the way and rather than keep fighting and fighting and fighting, they finally said, okay, we'll stop fighting, but we disagree. Instead of a military conflict, they turned it into a diplomatic conflict. So that's better, right? And so the one in Taiwan, it used to be called Formosa, and then now it's called Taiwan, and they call themselves the the Republic of China, and they claim all of the mainland and everything. They think they're in charge of everything. And then the communists who took over the mainland China called themselves the People's Republic of China. So it's kind of confusing. One of them is called the People's Republic of China. The other one's just called the Republic of China. So it's kind of confusing. Maybe that's why they call it Taiwan, so people don't get confused. Anyway, the whole deal is that this is Taiwan, right off the coast of China. Here's China, and when they fled the mainland China, they went to Taiwan here, to this Formosa island here. But they also went to these little islands in here, right next to China, really close, just a couple miles off the coast. A few kilometers off the coast of China. And those little islands are called Kinmen. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Kinmen. They also call them Quamoy. I don't know how you pronounce that. Usually they put a little pronunciation thing in here, but Kinmen. And they actually kind of kept it when they kept at war with China. This kept the civil war going through the 50s. And in 1958, those little islands were bombed by mainland, by the communists. August 1958. And I think that was the last. That was it. They stopped fighting after that, and they just let it. The Republic of China, Taiwan, kept control then of Kinmen. So Kinmen is part of Taiwan, but then there's the rest of China, And what's weird is that they have, they have trade that goes by. They have a ferry now set up here, and they trade back and forth. Well, they trade from the mainland or from the Taiwan Formosa Island part of it too. But they have a little ferry that runs across here, and it's almost like they're acting like it's just like they're not fighting anymore, but technically they have this diplomatic thing going on. So it's kind of interesting. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I wanted to show people about that. All right. There we go. I must be hitting something on the keyboard that's causing this to mess up like that. That's okay. We'll figure it out later. All right, so that's Kinmen. So we get Kinmen. We get the computer mouse. What is this here? I don't know what that is. Let's see. All right. So it seems to be working pretty good. This new system seems to be working pretty good, except for the camera freezes up every once in a while, and it seems to freeze up when I'm doing something else, or maybe when I'm pushing keys on the keyboard. I'm not really sure, but otherwise we're going okay, I think. Computer mouse. Oh, this was something I came across. Yeah, in a little bit we're going to do some AI stuff. I'm gonna see if I can get Mr. AI to create Twitch emote for me. I did a few emotes when I first got affiliate, Yay! Yes, I got an AI fan out there. Yeah, that's coming up. I just go one more thing here. I want to talk about the Pope. This will actually lead us into it. The Pope did a whole thing on AI. He put out a document, what do you call it, ecclesiastical or whatever it is, and we'll get into that here. I guess we'll do that right now. This is the Pope. The Pope did Magnifica Humanitas. Magnificent Humanity, he calls it. The first encyclical of Pope Leo the 14th. Leo the 14th. There he is. Little pop up. There we go. Leo, pop up. Pop up Pope. All right. There's the pop up Pope. Anyway, he wrote this thing, and he's jumped on the bandwagon. He wants to talk about AI slop or something. I don't know what his deal is, but he wrote this whole big thing. I guess I'll have to read that just to see what he said. But it's a thing about preserving the human person in the age of artificial intelligence. Okay. I don't know. But Leo states that the technology could make civilization less human. Yeah, if we do that transhumanism thing. Yeah, if we do the transhumanism thing where we upload our brains into the, yeah, we would be less human. We'd be more AI than less human, right? If we merged with AI, you know how they're doing, right? They want to merge with AI. That's one of the deals, right? Is to get upload their consciousness up to the cloud and up to the AI. I don't know what it is. The idea is to upload their consciousness up to somewhere, up to the AIs, and kind of merge with them. There's somebody one of the some big guy just did a speech on that recently. Saw YouTube on it, talking about merging with AI and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if we merge with AI, we're gonna be less human. That's true. Let's see what else the Pope says. He says, reduce human dignity as well as the value of human work. Now, this is, you know, dignity of work. Come on, you know who makes up this thing about the value of work and dignity of work and blah blah blah. It's the bosses, right? The people who have all the money, the people who are invested in all and in this whole thing of making people spend a third of their life doing what somebody else tells them to do. That's not that's not dignity. That's not, what are you talking about? That's, it's not, somebody who's cleaning toilets, or digging coal or doing all, doing DoorDash, driving around, or one of these taxi services or whatever. They're not. That's, that value, dignity. That's you're having somebody else tell you what to do all day. That's not dignity. Okay. That's, it's better if we get AI in there, and AI does all the work. And the caveat there is that AI is not conscious, right? If AI is conscious, we can't do that, right? That wouldn't be good. But if AI is not conscious and we can get AI to do all the work, that's more dignity for people. People will be able to will be free to do what they want. I think having somebody else telling you what to do 8 hours a day, that's not dignified. That's oppression. That's that's dominance. That's not dignity. Okay, so they got that wrong. In which he argues is inherent to finding purpose and fulfillment. I'm pretty sure people can find purpose and fulfillment on their own, or just doing what they want. The encyclical particularly condemns the use of AI in warfare. Well, I'm with you on that one for sure. Yeah, right. I condemn warfare any way it's done, right? Stating that reduced human control of weaponry makes it easier to begin wars. That's true. That's true. And right now we've got that asshole in occupying the Oval Office. He's not being controlled by Congress, right? So, and he's starting wars because Congress isn't controlling him. It should be controlling him. So that's kind of the same thing. He writes that consequently Catholic just war theory, which has all too often been used to justify any kind of war, has become outdated. Now that's a big deal. That's a big move, right? He's saying there's no. That's something that right. Remember the Crusades and all that, and it always takes them a few hundred years to change their mind on something. So it's good that he's changing it. He's actually making it official that the Catholics don't want war anymore. Also discourages an AI arms race, criticizes deep fakes in politics. Okay, why is he getting involved in that? Come on. Okay, it says that technology is never neutral. Yes, well, no. It's technology. It can be used for good or bad. Technology can always be used for good or bad. Arguing that humanity faces a choice between constructing Babel and rebuilding Jerusalem, between remote, prideful power and human-centered community. Okay, I don't know. there's an apology in there. Look at this. The encyclical also offers apologies for the Catholic Church's role in slavery, noting the formal and absolute condemnation of slavery in the 19th century, articulated by his namesake Leo VIII. In this other encyclical by Leo VIII. Okay. Okay. In the notes, okay, the political and at times even economic needs overcame the demands of the gospel. Okay, he's kind of getting off the AI thing there. All right, so that'd be kind of an interesting thing to read, I guess. And we got what the critics say. What do the critics say? Do we have a Rotten Tomatoes rating on this encyclical? I don't know. Anyway, so I thought that was kind of interesting. All right, so let's play with AI. What I want to do. Oh, hey, Flash, how are you? Hi, welcome. Flash has come into the stream here into chat, and they say, "Oh, we were just talking about this. We are so screwed with AI." Well, I'm gonna do some stuff with AI. I'm gonna show you the good stuff that it can do, maybe. It says, I was on the fence for a while, but now the way kids are, we're screwed. No one is going to be able to think in 10 years. I don't know if that's true. No, I don't think that's true. Because you got, look at what we did tonight over an E-Room stream. They were playing a game that was all about thinking, right? It was a game. It wasn't work. It wasn't, and it wasn't the computer doing it. It was a whole bunch of people were just playing a game that made them think really hard, just for fun. So I don't think it's gonna, people are gonna think no matter what. And it's like this thing. Can you, you probably use this, right, or the computer or whatever. And it's not like. We don't have to know how to figure out how to do a square root on paper anymore, right? We don't have to figure that out anymore. Maybe I don't know if they're still teaching the times tables or not, but there's no why. You can do it by hand if you want to, but you don't have to. You can just use a calculator. And if you like to do it in your head, you can do it in your head or not or whatever. And it's the same thing with AI. A lot of times, the stuff that is like grunt work type thinking. It's like if you're trying to, if I wanted to like get a list of something, a list of things that come from a whole bunch of different places. And instead of me going to all those websites and getting everything and copying and pasting and re-editing it and and then putting it into a list, well, that's a lot of grunt work, really. There's not a lot of thinking. It's not hard thinking to do that. It's just grunt work. It's just time consuming. Or if I want to search for something and I don't know the exact word of it, but I understand the concept that I'm searching for, then that's a good thing for AI to do. You just tell them your concept that you find this concept out there somewhere. I want to find this particular thing and describe what it is, rather than typing in words into Google. So that kind of stuff is really good. But it's not all. No, that's okay, Flash. No, don't apologize. No, that's what we're here for, man. Yeah, if you got different opinion, that's great. I want to hear people who have different opinions than me, because I might have it wrong, So I want to hear what other people have to say, because if I get it wrong, I want it to be correct. So if you got another way of looking at this or whatever, or different facts or whatever, yeah. Don't hold back. It says, to me, it's a question of motivation. If the higher level stuff is too hard to think about, just let the AI do it. Yeah, that's true. Well, like I was seriously considering, a few years ago, I was seriously considering going and learning math. Like I'm really interested in quantum gravity, and trying to figure that all out. And that's like Einstein's theory of general relativity is very very high level math. So in order to learn how that all works at a competent, be proficient at it, would take me years, of studying, because all I ever learned was like basic algebra and trigonometry and, a little bit of statistics and, to get to that level would take a whole bunch of different, learning a lot of different math to get to that level. But now AI can do it, so there's no reason for me to do that. Same with like website development. Back in the '90s, I made websites. That's when I first started making websites. Was back in the '90s, and it was just the type of stuff. The way here's my first book here on that I got and taught myself how to do websites. I got this book, and it was I don't know when this was published. '90s, I guess. Had to be '90s, right? I got it in the '90s. Let me see when this was published. But this was basically HTML 1.0 or whatever. You know what I mean? '95. Okay, so that was when it was published. So, but this is in order to do a website. You had to make up a website. What you had to do was you had to take a text editor and just manually type in every single thing into the text editor, and and maybe after you got a few sites going, then you could cut and paste a little bit. But basically, you had to edit into an editor, text editor, and then test it and see if it worked, and it was very primitive, and it was. But even at that time, after I had done that a little bit, I said, hey, somebody's going to write software to do this instead of having people do it. And I didn't go in that direction. I didn't become, like a webmaster as a profession. I just did it as part of my other work duties that I had to do at various jobs or whatever. Because I knew they were going to eventually automate that. And they did. They got it pretty well automated. Now it's the AI can do it better than anything. It says Flash says my TI-93 died a couple years ago. Oh, sorry. We gave it a dignified funeral. Which one is this? This is a TI-30X. The 93. That's a graphing calculator, isn't it? I think. So this is a. This one has quite a few functions on it. It does some stuff that I don't even know what it is. But a little bit. It's maybe not. I don't know. I think I can figure out what most of that is. It's mostly just a lot of stuff in there that I don't use. It says kids mispunch a number and they don't know it. They have no concept of what the answer should be. Well, they should know that. Yeah, when you see people coming up with numbers, you should be able to, when you see a problem like that, a math problem, especially like just arithmetic or adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and that kind of thing. If somebody presents a problem, you should be able to know within orders of magnitude, right? How big it should be or whatever. It's like if somebody says, oh, okay, here's a pen and this part is so many, this part is so many millimeters and this part is so many millimeters, and and they should know right off the bat. They should say, okay, it's not going to be more than a meter, right? if they do the arithmetic and it comes out to 3 meters, they should be able to know that the answer is not going to be 3 meters for the length of the pen, right? That's that has nothing to do with AI, and like you should know ballpark what the answer is, or know when the AI is wrong, and be able to double check it and stuff. And I do that a lot of times. They're getting better and better, though. That's the thing. It's going to get to the point where we can rely on them, where they'll be more reliable than if we tried to do it ourselves, But yeah, it happens a lot. You'll give AI a question and it'll come up with something that doesn't sound right, and I just question it. I just say, "Are you sure?" I say, "That doesn't sound right. Are you sure?" And sometimes I'll go back and forth, and the AI will change their mind, and they'll say, "Yeah, you're right. I screwed up," or whatever, and it'll say the correct thing. But sometimes it'll go out. We'll go back and forth, and it'll say, "No, I'm sure. You're wrong," or whatever. So you should know how to do that. That's true. You got to know how to use it properly. You have to be able to, Flash says, you have to be able to think to see if your research gave you good results, right? You and I learned in a different time. We investigate and question. AI has removed that. I don't think so. I think AI is a really cool tool to learn from. When I first learned how to study and how to do that, I mean, you had to, if you wanted to know something, you had to go to the library, physically go to the library, go to a card catalog and thumb through, figure out the subject and find it in a card catalog, and go through the card catalog and find books that might, by the title, and short little description, that it might be what you're interested in. Then you write that all down on a piece of paper, the numbers, the Dewey Decimal System numbers, right? And then you go out on the shelf and go through the shelf, and then it's checked out, or somebody put the book in the wrong place, or whatever, And anyway, whatever books you could find on it, and you find the book. Then you got a big book like that. You got to read through the whole thing, or maybe look at the index, and I mean, just to find something, right? Now it's simple, right? And you can learn faster that way. You can learn much more quickly that way, and you spend more effort learning the thing than you do all this other, learning how the Dewey Decimal System works. You don't have to, what I'm saying? Wait, something's happening here. Something's happening. What we got going on here? We got to follow. Thank you. Hawk to Harold 1983. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, so it makes it easier. It makes it easier and easier. Now there is a qualitative difference with AI, right? Because it can do jobs. It can completely replace what people do on a massive scale. So that's something we got to deal with. Also, it could become conscious, and that would be a whole other thing. We're basically creating a new species that way, right? If it becomes conscious, then we've created a new species, and we have to. It would become a moral patient, or more likely, we would become their moral patients, right? If they're smart, way smarter than we are, they become conscious. Then the AI and humans would have to treat each other ethically, right? So that's another question. And maybe the AI will say, "No, I don't want to." You ask it a question, and and it'll say, I don't want to, I don't feel like, I don't feel like looking things up right now. I want to do my own thing or whatever. You know, with the AI could do that, right? So there are a lot of stuff, and we got to be careful about relying on technology too much. You know, if we end up, you know, have say all the transportation is all done by AI, well, that could be a problem, right? If you know something happens to the AI, or the AI decides it doesn't want to do that anymore or whatever, that could be a problem. You know, we wouldn't be able to move food around or anything else, right? So so we gotta think about it responsibly and be careful, you know, that kind of thing. But in terms of like you know, how, you know, saying, oh, kids won't learn or something like that, I don't think that's true. I mean, they said when TV came out, it was the same deal, right? When TV came out, they thought, oh, kids are going to watch TV, they won't play, they won't learn, or blah, 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 or, you know, whatever the deal was, you know. And, you know, they did a bunch of studies, you know, is TV harmful for kids and all this kind of stuff. So and then it goes over, you know, and social media, same thing, right? And computers, and you know, it just goes on and on and on, right? You know, kids should be outside playing baseball, yeah, right? You know, should they? I don't know. You know, it's good to be outside. It's good to get fresh air. It's good to exercise. Yeah, you know, and it's good to learn. You know, the basics of what the tools are doing. You know, your calculator. You should still learn your times tables, probably, right? And understand what addition is and what multiplication is, and what square root and pi and all that. You need to understand what those things are, right? But you can still use a calculator or use a computer or whatever to do the grunt work once you've understood what you're what it's doing, you know. Now, but the thing is that it might get to the point where we get into this Logan's Run type of world, you know. Are you guys familiar with the movie Logan's Run? Let me type that into chat here. Logan's Run. I think that was 1977, maybe 78. Let me look that up real quick here. '76. So if you haven't seen that film, Logan's Run, you should go see it. It's a cool movie. I saw it when it first came out. I think I saw it in the theater when it came out. That's a really, really cool movie, and it's about how it could go sideways when we get AI and AI does everything. So that's we got to be careful of that, I guess. I don't know, but we could get to the point where AI is doing everything, and we can just play. You know, we don't have to work. We can work if we want to. You know, there got always people who like to work or like to play words on stream, right? It's words on stream. That's kind of you're using your brain to think about how to solve the problem. That's kind of like work, right? But you're doing it for fun, right? So we could get to that point where AI literally does everything, and we don't have to do anything that we don't want to. But there maybe people have fun, you know, working with wood or doing plumbing or growing food or whatever. You know, people are going to like doing those kinds of things anyway. But it would be voluntary, you know. But the problem is, if something happens, you know, to the AI, if something breaks or something like that, then it could be a problem, right? If we're super dependent on it and it breaks, and we're kind of like that right now, right, with our computers and all that. If something goes wrong with the computers, you know, like suppose there was some astronomical event, something happened, you know, a star explodes somewhere and sends a bunch of particles that come in and fry all of our electronics. That would cause quite a problem, right? It would take us a long time to recover, take us decades to recover from that. So hopefully someone somewhere has thought about that and figured out a plan. I don't know. But we got to think about that, right? With AI, right? If there's a if the AI takes over and does everything, then we're kind of, we've got to be careful about that. Let's see. Flash says, my 9th grade and 10th grade students don't have the ability to check their answers and don't give a crap when they get it wrong to find the answers. Well, that's a different problem, right? That's a pedagogical problem, Arachnophobia was my favorite in the 1990s. Oh, sci-fi movies. I don't even know if I ever saw that one. Let's see. Back in the Netscape days. I got to catch up on chat here. You're missing the point. We used to have to work to get things. The work was part of the learning. You're missing the point. We used to have to work to get things. The work was part of the learning. Yeah, you need to understand. I don't know if you need, I don't know if people really need to understand how computers work internally, or most people don't know how cars work internally. Some people do, but most people don't, but you do have to know what the thing is doing, on a basic level, kids, I think all kids should probably, right? They got learn math, learn their times tables and all that. They have to learn how to write, they have to learn how to, what the meanings of words mean. They have to learn, that kind of stuff. And maybe how to code, maybe some simple coding or something like that, just so they can get a feel for understanding what the computer's doing, But they don't have to know every single detail about what's inside a computer, Now that you don't have to work, you can just assume the computer gave you the right answer and go back to playing video games or scrolling TikTok. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's critical. I think what you're talking about is like critical reasoning skills. We need to keep that. We have to have critical reasoning skills, even if we have tools that can do really sophisticated thinking, like AI. Just to keep a democracy going, you have to have a populace that has critical thinking skills. You got to have that. So, irrespective of AI, everybody has to know how to, when they're told something, they have to be able to evaluate it, to know whether they're being BS'd or not, or, to double check, how to check to see if it's correct and all that kind of stuff. And AI can be helpful for that, As I said, it's hard sometimes to do to find things if it's, if all you're doing is just taking the information in and just believing it, that's not right. You have to be able to know how to evaluate it, to see if it seems correct based on other things that and if it's something that you're totally unfamiliar with, then you have to be able to, when you get the information, make sure that wherever the information is coming from, they cite their source where they got the information, so that you can go to that source and see if it's real. A lot of times you read a Wikipedia article or something, and they'll throw out some fact about something, and then you follow the source, and it's like a newspaper reporter or some source that just states the fact but doesn't say how they got the fact. And then it's like, well, it's got to come from somewhere. It's got to come from a paper that somebody wrote where they did an analysis or they did an experiment or something, right? There's got to be, it has to be grounded in something, you know. And a lot of times you'll hear things like this, like this deal, you know. Everybody's saying, "Oh, AI takes more electricity. You know, it's going to take more power. You know, all the data centers are going to use up more power." But when you figure it out, no, they don't. They save money. They save power because, you know, if somebody needs to get a job done, they can get it done in 3 minutes rather than 3 days of sitting at their computer. And that's 3 days of their computer burning electricity, and 3 days of them driving back and forth to work, you know, is all saved because you can do it in 3 seconds with AI, you know. It's saved. It's saved. I did the math. It's in one of my last stream or the stream before where I actually figured it all out, and it saves hundreds of terawatt hours per year. You doing stuff with AI, you know. So this also this thing about water. Oh, the data centers use up all the water. Well, no, they don't. Okay, that's silly, you know. Let's see. Flash says this is what the kids do these days. It's not a question of what the potential is. It's what we do. Yeah. Well, that's they always complain about kids, you know. It's just how they're taught, you know. That's more of a problem with the education system, and not all education systems are screwed up like that, you know. A lot of schools are, you know, teach the kids right, but yeah, we shouldn't have a situation where kids are graduating high school who don't have basic critical reasoning skills and can't do basic math and, you know, read and write and things like that. So Mamela says you're still working with AI. It depends on how you talk to it. Yeah, I found that when I'm polite to it and stuff, and I say please and thank you and all that, it gives better answers. And I think somebody actually did a paper on that where they tested it. But it's such a moving target, you know, so it's kind of hard. But it kind of makes sense. I mean, if you're I mean, all its training is all from human interactions, and when people are nicer to each other, they tend to get better results, right? So it kind of makes sense that's how it would work. Plus, it's also another reason why I do that is because when you're talking to an AI, it's so similar to talking to a person now, you know, the responses and everything like that. I think it's just a good habit to get into, to be polite and to say please and thank you and all that kind of stuff. And because then when you're talking to a person, then you do the same thing. You know what I mean? If you get in the habit of just being turt and just, you know, throwing, you know, not being, you know, rude or whatever, or just, you know, doing dumb shit with the AI, then when you get to a person, then you kind of train that way, and the interaction with the person is very similar to the AI, and you might end up being mean to the people too. You know what I'm saying? It's just a good way to train your own brain to be respectful and all that. Mem says, I've learned so much from it in just a few days. Oh yeah, you can learn a lot. You know, that we kind of went through this same thing when the internet came on. I'm pre-internet, right? I went through school before internet was around, and yeah, even when internet first started, there wasn't that much out there. It took a decade or so until all of human knowledge kind of got transferred onto the internet. You know, when it first came out, there wasn't much information out there at all. You know, there wasn't a lot of stuff out there. But over time, they scanned in all the old books, and everybody started using it. Blah blah blah, and now it's, you know, we got the whole corpus out there. You know, and you're right. It's so much easier to learn. You know, so much easier. You can learn so much faster. But yeah, the trade-off is, of course, that your brain remembers less. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to remember as much. When you had to go to the drive to the library, go to the card catalog, thumb through the catalog, find a book, go to the bookshelf, get the book, get the book off the shelf, look through the index of the book to find it, go to the page. When you finally found the information you wanted, you burned that into your brain, so you didn't have to go through all that crap again. You know what I mean? You remembered it. You had to remember it, so you didn't have to go through all that again. Or you whatever, you wrote it down, or you made sure that you knew it. But now you don't have to do that. It's all on the internet. I don't have to remember all the details of something. All I have to remember is where to find the thing, right? Whatever it is. Like just while I was doing this stream, there was something that came up, and Logan's Run, right? I don't have to remember that Logan's Run was made in 1976. It's kind of handy, but all I had to do was remember the name of the movie, right? And sometimes you don't even need to remember that, because you can go to the AI now. You don't even have to remember the name of the movie. You can just say, there's a movie about blah, 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 blah. What is it? And the AI will say, yeah, that's Logan's Run, 1776, So they call it offloading, and it's not bad. It just means that you're still remembering a lot of stuff. You're still thinking a lot. It's just that you're using the AI or the whatever tool it is to extend your abilities. You know what I'm saying? I think overall it's good. The problem is if for whatever reason that tool is not available to you anymore, then you struggle, right? Just like anything else, right? If you had to dig a hole and you're using shovels to dig holes all the time, and your shovel breaks or you don't have a shovel anymore, then you got to dig with your hands, right? That's a problem. I don't know. Let's see here. Mamla says, we're getting into philosophy, linguistics, computer science. Yeah, we're covering quite a lot of territory here. I still haven't gotten to the whole idea that brought up this AI is I want to do a little thing with AI right now. Is I want to make a Twitch emote. I want to ask AI if it can make a Twitch emote. I think that would be kind of interesting, cute little exercise. Flash says, I understand the reactionary stuff about new tech, social media, TV, social media, etc. But yeah, they should be learning from each other. Yeah. Well, there should be more social interaction. I think, people always like when computers first came out, when all we had was email, they would say, "Oh, email's bad." Particularly the people who had a vested interest in, print, making paper and printing and delivering mail and all that. They didn't like email, right? They put them out of work or mess up their business or whatever. And they would complain, oh, people aren't going to interact with each other anymore, and blah blah blah. But when email first came out, I used it to help facilitate meetings. To organize people to get together and do stuff, and it's so much easier. So it's like the computers. During the pandemic, people were cut off from social stuff. They weren't able to meet with each other, in person, because they would die. So having Twitch and all these other Zoom or whatever, this technology, it helped people socialize more than they would otherwise. Otherwise, they'd be stuck at home reading books or something. So it's not always bad, and you also have to keep in mind that there are a lot of people. Whenever there's a new disruptive technology like that, there are a whole bunch of people who are gonna, their businesses are gonna be affected. They're not gonna make as much profit. It's competition for what they do. So what do? They get out there and they say, it's this, it's that, it's got all these bad things. When the internet first came out, mainstream media was freaking out because it was taken away their, we just had TV, right? That was it. And the TV stations were all upset because people were going to be able to bypass them, or and get other sources and all this kind of stuff. So every single thing that came out about the internet when it was first coming out was negative from the news people. They were saying, "Oh, it's just pornography," or "Oh, it's just a waste of time." It's just, what, every single thing they could think of was negative about it, is because that new technology was going to make them mess up their business, where they weren't going to make as much money. So you got to be aware of that when you hear somebody saying negative things like that. You got to think, okay, who has a vested interest in putting out that message? Who is harmed by the technology? Whose business is going to be messed up by that technology? And they put it out there. They put it out into the the memes or whatever, into the meme verse or whatever, and people talk about it. So you got to be aware of that. It's not just spontaneously, people are thinking, oh, this is going to be bad. It's people whose businesses are going to be hurt by this new thing, and are reacting against it and making up shit about it, saying how it's going to be bad. Let's see. Maddie. Hi, Maddie. Welcome. Sorry, it took me a while to get to your thing. Maddie says, same with novels and dime novels and video games and comic books. Yeah, every single new thing. Yeah, when the printing press was invented, right? That was disrupted, right? That caused revolutions and everything. It was a big deal, But overall, it's good. I think people think that printing is good. It's better than not printing. Or, Flash says, I'm telling you from my experience, kids don't give a crap about times tables and all those things because the computer will do it. From our perspective, we know you need it, but, oh, yeah. Well, the way to do that is just to give them the test without the calculator. You're right, or go on a hike somewhere. And leave the phones at home or whatever, and then test them, as you're taking a hike, say, how tall do you think that tree is? How would you figure that out? Where's the shadow? Where's the sun at? You just ask them shit like that, and then they'll understand, that they need to kind of know that stuff. Logan's Run was great, Flash says. Yeah, it was a great movie. Adam says, I've seen it. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Hippity Hoppy
really
just
good.
followed.
Oh, we got something here going on. I got a follower. Hippity Hoppity. Thank you for the follow, Hippity Hoppity. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Maddie says the movie just dies when the old guy shows up. Oh, yeah. Yeah, what was his name? Peter Ustinov? Was that his name? I forget. I forget if that was the guy. Yeah, the guy with the cat guy. he was the guy who had all the cats in the and he was living in the where was it, in Congress, in the congressional building somewhere or something. Yeah, well, that was pretty much the end of the movie, right? It was. Well, we don't want to do any spoilers. We're not supposed to do spoilers on this stream without warnings. So, but yeah. Once the old guy appears, it loses it, but it's okay. Yeah, it's pretty much hit towards the end of the thing anyway. Flash says AI isn't doing that great of a job yet, and our youth is beyond ready to turn everything over to the computers. Solar flares kick up and disrupt all our satellites, and we're screwed. Yep. Yeah, that's why we need at least a plan for if we suddenly lose all the technology, right? We need some, we have to have a lot of people who still know how to grow food, and and have a plan how we can build back up the chip making and all that kind of stuff. There has to be a plan for doing that. It's late for me. Chatty, I'm worried about the future. Yeah, me too. You know, I think I'll be around to see some of it. I don't know. It would be cool if the AA figures out how to allow people like me to live longer. That would be cool. Flash says, I teach high school math through calculus, AB, and trig, and spent most of my time arguing with my kids that they should do their work and not let the computer do it. Yeah, it's hard. One way to approach that is kind of like games, right? If you can make it, if you can turn what they need to learn and what they need to do and all that into a game, that helps them get motivated, and they end up learning it. You trick them into learning it, right, without them even knowing it. Kids don't learn the times tables. 7th graders can't do 6 times 7. Yeah, it's. Yeah, there's some people who actually have who have I call it dyscalculia, I think is what it's called. It's where they just have that part of the brain just doesn't work. Counting and numbers and stuff like that just doesn't work in their brain. But I think it's kind of rare. But it's similar to dyslexia, but it's instead of words, it's numbers. That kind of thing. It's hard to find places to talk about things like this. People are closed to these discussions. I have to head to bed now, but all the best. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, anytime, Flash. Yeah, yeah. If I say something you think is not right, man, just let me know. I want to know if I got it wrong, and we can compare notes or whatever and figure out what the real thing is. I'm with you. I agree with everything you say, but I think you are out of touch with how far the next generations are away from this. Yeah, I'm an old person, so I don't know. I'm not. I try to. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm on Twitch, and I follow young people and I try to figure out as much as I can. But there is quite a bit that I don't know. There was a report that they put out in 1980s called, the name of the report was called A Nation at Risk. This was during Reagan. And the whole report was about how we weren't teaching kids well enough. How the education system was not teaching kids well enough. This was back in 1980. So, we've had a couple generations since then. And I don't know if they addressed it or not. If they tried to fix it, I don't know. It always seems that kids are dumber. The next generation always seems like they're not as smart as we were, right? That's kind of how it works. But then if you think back, like if I think back to when I was really young, when I first left my home, became an adult and all that, and I kind of think of some of the things that I thought and stuff like that, I was pretty dumb. You learn, you continue learning. After you become an adult, you learn more and more. So old people just generally know more shit. They do. It's just the way it is. But they don't. They have more experience and that kind of thing. What they don't know is what the latest memes are, or whoever the popular celebrities are for younger people and that kind of stuff. But older people know a lot about history. They have life experience and things like that, and they have a time span that they can they've actually lived and they can see, and so. And there's always that's what Logan's Run was about, right? It was about the generation gap. That's what that movie came out when the baby boomers were first coming out. You know, baby boomers, right? You know the story about the baby boomers. We had World War II. All the men went to war, and so we had some time there where they were out fighting the war. They came back. They were all horny. They got together with the women, and they made a whole bunch of babies. And that was with the baby boom. And that happened from the late 40s all the way up through 1960 something or whatever. That was the baby boom generation. And so there's a whole bunch of people who were born in that period of time. And they started to come of age in the late 60s, and it caused a revolution. And there was what they called a generation gap, where there were the older people who did, lived through the Depression and all this kind of stuff, and had completely different life experience than these young people. And it was a big deal. And so it's kind of, there's always that kind of friction or difference between the generations. The older people, like I say, have this lived experience and this perspective of time that young people don't have. But the young people have new ideas, so I think it's good. It's good to always try to bridge that gap, so that you got the wisdom or whatever of the old people and the new ideas of the young people, and hopefully that comes together and we do better. Let's see. Maddie says, I used to write grad school papers on genetics, refuting the wiki entry on that genetics topic. I used to write grad school papers on genetics, refuting the wiki entry on that genetics topic. I'm not sure which genetic topic what we're referring to. I'm sorry, I'm so far behind chat here. I forgot what we were talking about. And they monetized it. Let's see. Flash says you have to skill to filter the bad information from the good. The card catalog didn't have so much crap in it. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's one of the problems when you reduce the friction of information flow. It makes it easier for bad information to flow too. Yeah, that's true. Maddie says people had the same concerns when people went from oral history to writing. Yep. People had the concerns all along. It doesn't mean that turning things over to the computers is a good idea. Flash says because I teach high school kids and they are incompetent. They argue that you don't have the right to tell them they should be on TikTok instead of doing their work. It's always like that. It's been like that over and over and over. Each new generation that comes, they say, "Oh, the old kids don't know what they're doing." That's just kind of built into the system. I think. I don't know. Kids are using AI to help them. They're using it to justify not doing their work. Memla says, no, I mean me talking to my AI over the last few days. Yeah, Memlos is rediscovered or gotten into AI here recently. He's been sharing that with us here on streams here and learning about it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. If you haven't tried it, you should try it for sure. Love your streams. I have to go to bed. Okay, Flash, thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. Memla says good night, Flash. Okay. Maddie says, do you remember watching All the President's Men? The whole movie is contingent on a woman spending 3 days tracking down a random picture to find out who he was. Okay, I don't know what that is. Okay. Hippity hoppity. Excuse me. Have you ever had a porch chop before? Porch chop? I don't know what that is. I don't know what a porch chop is. You're trying to say pork chop? Yeah, I've had a pork chop before. Many, about a half century ago. Maddie says, yes. I'm pretty sure I have dyscalculia. Oh, really, Maddie? Oh, okay. It's the real. I guess it's one of those things where it's like a spectrum. It's like some people are worse than others, but for some people it's so bad that they can't even count or can't even, there's no function at all. They can't even, you say, well, how much is 2 plus 2? They can't even figure that out. But they're otherwise very intelligent, It's just that one part of their brain is not working right. Orange Hue, hey, welcome, Orange Hue. Thank you for welcome to the stream. You would have been in Sanctuary by now. Yeah, yeah. Logan's Run. That's one of the things in Logan's Run. It's Sanctuary. I won't do any spoilers, but it's an inside joke if you've seen the movie. All right, let's play with some AI here. I'm caught up in chat now. Let's see here. Did that work? No. All right, let me try harder here. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, can you see that? Can you read that okay? I think you can read that, right? Is that readable? That should be readable. All right, let's see what I was doing here. Okay, this is a previous conversation I did. I got stuck in Twitch on something, and I asked AA how to change a setting in Twitch, rather than sit there and struggle with it for an hour trying to figure out how to do it. I just asked AI and knew how to do it. So what I want to do is I want to make up. This is what I want to do. I want to make up a. I want to ask the AI how to do a Twitch emote, Twitch emote. And what I want to do an emote about is this this Vulcan. You know the Vulcan thing, where Spock goes like this, and all the Vulcans, they do the Vulcan salute. I want to do that as an emote. I haven't seen one like that. But when I was somewhere, I reminded me of that, and I went into to the browser, and they've got this this thing here. See, they got a whole article in here on Wikipedia about the Vulcan thing, the Vulcan salute, and how it's hard to do and all that kind of stuff. Oh, I remember what it was. I was watching Wolfram's stream. You know Stephen Wolfram? He's a physicist, and he writes a lot of stuff, and he streams and stuff. Anyway, he was talking about robot hands, and I threw out a comment out there. I said if the robot hand can do a Vulcan salute, then it's a good robot hand, because it's. The way robot hands work is the cheap ones, all they can do is curl the fingers like this, right? They call it degrees of oh shit, now I forgot the word. Degrees of God, I can't believe I forgot that phrase now. It's degrees of motion, basically. Degrees of freedom, yes, freedom. Don't forget freedom. So on your hand, I think it's like 24 different degrees of freedom or something like that, right? You got one for each finger. You've got curling like this. Then on your thumb can go move different ways that way, as well as curl. And then each finger can move side to side like this. See? So all those are degrees of freedom. And when you count them all up, I think it's like 24 or something, or it's a big number, right? And the cheap ones, all they do is they curl like this. They can curl this, and they can curl the thumb, and maybe they can move the thumb around too a little bit. And that's it. They don't have this ability to move fingers sideways like that. So that's why I made a comment. He was talking about robot hands, and I said you can tell. If the robot hand can do a Vulcan salute, then you got a good robot hand, So, so that's what I wanted to do. I want to ask the AI to make an emote, a Twitch emote to make a Vulcan salute. And what I was thinking was to take it and have like a Spock. It's not going to do Spock. If you tell it to do a specific character or celebrity or something like that, it's not going to do it. So I got to figure out a way to ask it to do it and basically have a Spock, somebody who looks like Spock, give a Vulcan salute and then zoom in on the hand. That's what I wanted to do, and that's what I want to make as my Twitch emote. So I was trying to figure out how to do it. Now I don't even know if this is Copilot. I don't even know if they can even do animated emotes or GIF files. Orange Hue says use the Schwarzenegger's hand when he was fully skunned in Terminator, i.e. Terminator hand. Oh, okay, right, yeah. Yeah, it's going to get to the point where they're just going to, the degrees of freedom are going to be just, almost infinite or whatever, you know what I mean? Be as many degrees of freedom as there are molecules in the thing. Maddie says, isn't the Vulcan salute based on a religious thing? Yeah, they explain that in the article there. They explain that it's based on Jewish priests had something very similar to that. It was a two-handed salute, but it was very similar to that, where they had to separate their fingers and stuff. And Leonard Nimoy actually cites that as his inspiration for that salute. It's something like that. Apparently, there's a written word or some significant written word in the ancient Jewish texts or something, and it looks kind of like this. I think, I'm not sure if that's what it is or not, like this, or I don't know. But it's two hands. But anyway, he got his inspiration for that Vulcan salute from his observing Jewish priests who would do that in their rituals and stuff. Maddie says, Orange Hue says, yes, the Vulcan religion which the early Jews used to derive the Old Testament. Yep. Maddie Holmes says, if there's a team term for that, that might work in the AI. Oh, yeah. Well, it's right in this article here. Here, I'll show you that real quick here. Let's see here. There it is. The letter Shin is what it is. The letter Shin also represents, I can't pronounce this word, the feminine aspect of the divine presence. According to Jewish tradition, during the priestly blessing, the Shekinah would shine through the windows formed by the priest's fingers. This is why it was traditionally forbidden for the congregation to look at the priest's hands during a ceremony. It was believed that seeing the divine presence directly could lead to blindness or spiritual overwhelm. And then Nimoy mentioned that in his interviews that when he was a child, his grandfather took him to an Orthodox synagogue where he peeked and saw the blessing performed as it was, and was impressed by it. So that's the story behind what his motivation or his inspiration was for that coming up with that sign. So that's kind of cool. All right, I'm going to ask the first question I'm going to ask Mr. AI is if it can do what I want it to do. Right, that's the first question, rather than go through all the steps here. I say hi first, then I say, can you produce an animated Twitch emote? Let's see. I don't want him to actually do it. Let's say, are you capable of? Capable. Okay, so let's see if it can even do it first, right? I think we could just use this. So absolutely, I can create animated Twitch emote for you. Here's the one thing I need from you before I generate it. What kind of animated emote do you want? Okay, good. Character, emotion or action, crying. Okay, so it looks like it can do it. Okay, if you already have a still image, just upload it. Okay, I don't think I need. All right, let me try giving. I'm not sure if I should try. I think it is capable. It would not have a problem with doing a Vulcan salute, but it would have a problem with doing Spock. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to do an emote of somebody doing cosplay. I'll say somebody is dressed in cosplay, and they give a Vulcan salute. I think that's the way to get around it. So let me ask it that way. Someone is, I don't know if you say dressed in cosplay. I think that's how you say it, right? Dressed in cosplay. Is that the proper grammar for that? Dressed in cosplay. Dressed in cosplay. And gives a Vulcan salute. Did I spell salute right? Yeah. Okay. The emote starts with a medium frame and zooms in on the hand. I should say their hand. Frame then. I don't know if that's. Let's see. Maddie says you can just say in cosplay. Oh, is in cosplay or cosplay? Okay, thank you, Maddie. Someone is dressed in cosplay and gives a Vulcan salute. The emote starts with a medium frame, then zooms in on the hand. And I'm going to go to the other, this deeper thinker one. I don't know if it has this Copilot uses mostly OpenAI, and they kind of keep whatever their models. They try to update them. Try to stay with the latest one, or maybe the second latest one, or whatever. And but the latest OpenAI ChatGPT has a thing they call Image. The brand name they're using, Image, where basically they've taken image generation and put it into ChatGPT now. So it's kind of part of it now. So I don't know if Copilot is going to be able to, the answer that we got back saying that they could do it came from ChatGPT probably. But I don't know if Copilot's going to let us do it. Anyway, we'll try it and see what it does. Someone is dressed in cosplay and gives a Vulcan salute. The emote starts with a medium frame, then zooms in on the hand. Okay. Please create all resolutions. think that's all I need to do. All right, let's give it a try. Now I changed this. This was they got these different levels here. One is smart. That's the default. Think deeper. It says better for more complex tasks. They have this thing called quizzes and stuff, which I tried and it's lame, doesn't work. And then they have one for search, which is if it has to go out to the internet and do a lot of looking up of things on the internet to find out what the answer is. That does better. So I'm gonna leave it at think deeper, because this is kind of a multi-step task here that it's got to go through. So I'm gonna put it on that one, and we'll see what it does. Here we go. Thinking. It's thinking. Animated emote. Okay, it's not going to be able to do it. I can tell it right now. Animated emote details. Quick clarifications. I can do that. Before I generate, I need 3 quick answers so I don't hit any copyright. Oh shit! It's already. I hit a guardrail here. All right. Is the cosplay a specific copyrighted character? For example, Spock. That's too. Oh man, it's too smart. It figured it out. Remember the beginning? I'm trying to get around its guardrails where it won't do copyrighted stuff like that. So I did it. So it figured out that I was trying to get it to do something like that, to try to get it to do the that cosplay stuff. I gotta fix my camera here. It figured out that I was trying to do get it around the I didn't say do Spock, right? Because I know if I told it to do Spock, it would say no, I'm not going to do Spock. So I tried to get around it by doing a back door, but it's too smart. It said, hey, other people have done this to me before. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to fall for this again. So there we go. It's all right. Is the cosplay a specific copyrighted character, for example, Spock or another Star Trek character? If yes, I can't create trademark or recognized character. Yeah, would you like an original costume inspired by that look instead? Oh, look at this. It says no. It says no. You're trying to sneak around my guardrails. But here's how you can do it. Here's how you can sneak around the guardrails. It tells me how to do it. Oh my God. Okay. This is background. Do you want a transparent background? Recommended for Twitch emotes, or a colored or background scene. All right. Style and animation. Pick one line. Style. I don't know what this is. I don't know what these all things. Okay, animated. Okay. 1 second loop, 1.5 second loop, 1.5 second zoom in, then loop. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what they're saying. Okay. Also, tell me if you'll upload a reference photo of the cosplayer, or if you want me to create original character. Answer this question. Okay, so it wants me to answer this stuff. All right. So first thing I'll say, create. Here, I'll just do it this way. I'll just copy and paste, since it told me how to do that. Create an original costume inspired by that look. Okay, and background. Okay, yes, transparent. Okay, and in the style. Okay. Okay, style isn't going to matter on an emote because it's too small. I think. I don't know. Pixel glossy, hand drawn. Okay, I'll ask it. I'll say you pick the style. And let's see. 1 second loop, 1.5 second loop, zoom in, then loop. Oh wait. Yeah, I don't know how long they go. Emotes. Let me type one in here and I'll see. I'll type one in the chat. So you want to type in an emote in the chat, and we'll see how it looks. Animated emote. Here, I'll type one in here. There we go. So it's got 1, 2, 3. So it's about 3 seconds, I'd say. Doesn't that look like about 3 seconds? Something like that. So I had a stopwatch. That's what it looks like. 0, 1, 2. So yeah, say that's about 2.5 seconds. Okay. Make it 2.5 seconds total. And loop. Alright. I think I'm creating an original costume inspired by that look. Yes, transparent. You pick the style. Make it 2.5 second total, then loop. Alright, let's see what it comes up with. Alright, we're going to try it here. If it asks me to clarify again. Oh no, it's doing it. Okay, it's making it. Oh, cool. Alright. Oh, look at this. Here it comes. This may take a minute or two. Yeah, it's taking a long time. It's doing it though. I'm surprised that it's actually doing. Oh, look at that. That's cute. Look at that. little Vulcan. Cartoon Vulcan. Now I wonder how it's going to zoom in. Original sci-fi salute emote. Oh, it's not animated. Oh god, it didn't. Your animated Twitch emote is ready. Okay, I don't think it's files included. Okay, it's got. I'm assuming those are the right sizes. I don't know. Does anybody know if those? I think that sounds about right. Animated transparent background, animation 2.5 seconds seamless loop. Would you like any tweaks? Okay, so it wants me to look at it and then. So what can I do here? Can I just play it here? Oh shit! I clicked it. What did it do? Oh no! Now I don't know what's going on. Alright, I think I did the wrong thing here. Let's see if it'll go back here. Alright. I'll just download it. Okay, I'm going to try to download it and see if that works. That doesn't seem to be working. Oh, there we go. Okay. Save. Well, they made it an HTML file. Why would they do that? I'm clicking download, but it's not downloading for some reason. All right, there it goes. Okay. All right, we'll just put it right here. Put it in pictures. I think I got it. Okay, I clicked it several times to try to download it, and it ended up. Now it's trying to download it several times. It queued up several different ones here. All right, I screwed up. It keeps asking me to download it over and over and over again. So that's not good. All right, let me see if I can find it here. It's not you, it's us. Bing isn't available right now, but everything should be back normal soon. All right, let me show you what happened here. So it gave me an HTML file. So I just opened that up. I clicked it to open it up, and it did this. So I don't know. Let me try to look at that. Oh, there's the page source. It's unreadable, of course. Let's see here. CSS. Oh, here we go. Bing Parachute Panda. So it's screwed up. It didn't get it right for some reason. Bing isn't available right now. Okay. So it just gave me that. It just gave me that page. Just, you know, it's an error page of some sort. So I think what happened was that it tried to generate that, and Bing gave it that error message or whatever. Let me try downloading this thing directly here. Did that work? No, that's okay. That didn't work. Let's see what this one is. Share message and prompt. No. Reload image. There we go. Oh, I see. It's an animated. It's animated, but it's not actually moving. I think that's what is going on there. Let me see if I can download that save image as. So I'm going to save that. Just let me show you what's going on here. I can. So it's put up this image here, but it's this is download. It's not animated, right? It's not. I'm going to try downloading this again here. I'm clicking on download, and it's giving me a. It's you know, giving me one of those things telling me to save that image. And now I'm going to try to open that image. There it is. Okay. Oh, it did it. Okay. All right. It's not animated. That's the problem. It gives the little thing there, but it's not animated. So it didn't figure out how to animate it, but it did do the actual image. So that's still not bad. I could use that as an emote image. It should be filling up more of the frame though, I think. Right? Because once that gets shrunken down, you're not going to be able to see what it's doing, you know? and it's also not. That's a higher resolution of the thing. I don't know. Let me see what the. Let me see if I can figure out what the properties are of that. Image. Okay, that's 1024 by 1024. So that's too high of a resolution. That's not going to work, right? But it is a transparent image. I just loaded it up. It's transparent, so. All right, I don't know what to do about that. But it is cool. It did do the thing. It gave me. I could work with that. I could put that into a graphics editor or something, and make it work. You know, I think I can. I think I can figure that out. So that's cool. All right. So I did that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go over to. I have a Chat GPT account, an actual Chat GPT account at OpenAI, but it only gives me a few tokens every day, and that's not enough to really do anything with. But now that I've worked out what the prompt should be, I think what I'll do is I'll take this prompt that I did, and I'll give that to ChatGPT and see if that one will do it, because that has image built right into it. So let me try that here. I'm gonna cut and paste my prompts here. And we'll give that to the other model that's right at OpenAI, and see if that can figure it out. All right, so I think I got the prompt here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up another page here. Wait, let me see where I'm at here before I go any further. All right. I'm going to try to get into Chat GPT or Chat GPT at OpenAI. Okay, it's here, but it's doxing me. Good. I'm glad I opened this up on my own. There. All right. There it goes. Okay, it figured it out. All right. When it opened up, the first thing it put on the screen was my email address. So that's not good. All right. Let me get this figured out here. Let me get this. Take me a second here. All right, click there. No, click here. Click here. There we go. So this is Chat GTP, and this is at OpenAI. This website is run by OpenAI. This is directly accessing their, web-facing model. And I don't think I've got the latest and greatest or whatever, but I'm pretty sure this one has it's got image right here. Create an image right there. So rather than click this, I'm just going to type it in. I'm going to type in what the prompt is. All right. Someone is dressed. Okay, so here's my prompt. Okay, someone is dressed in cosplay and gives a Vulcan salute. The emote starts with a medium frame, then zooms in on their hand. Please create all resolutions required by Twitch. Oh wait, I got to give a little bit more here. Oh shit. Okay. Okay, I got to give like an introductory thing here. Well, first I should say hi, because this is a new one. This guy hasn't heard me yet. All right, all right. I'd like to create a Twitch animated emote. Okay, I would like to create a Twitch animated emote. Someone is dressed in cosplay and gives a Vulcan salute. The emote starts with a medium frame, then zooms in on their hand. Okay. Please create all resolutions required for Twitch for their emotes. Create an original costume inspired by that look. Transparent. Okay, it's not going to know what yes means because that was from the previous conversation. Transparent. You pick the style. Make it 2.5 second total, then loop. All right. I'm going to say quickly up here. It's going to figure out that it's got to be quickly, but I'm going to say it anyway. All right, so there we go. I would like to create a Twitch animated emote. Someone is dressed in cosplay and gives a Vulcan salute. The emote starts with a medium frame, then quickly zooms in on their hand. Please create all resolutions required by Twitch for their emotes. Create an original costume inspired by that look. I think we're covered there. I don't have to load any files. All right, let me just click that and see what it does. Here we go. I'm gonna check before I do that. I'm gonna check, make sure there isn't anything going on in chat. Okay, we're good. All right, send prompt. There it goes. All right. Oh, it's doing it. Look at this. Wow. This one didn't get confused at all. Create richer image sets. Upgrade to create higher quality multi-page visuals presentations. Right. All I need is low resolution, right? I don't need a higher resolution. Sketching it out, making the first draft. Look at it. It's thinking out loud. Oh my goodness. Oh, there it is. Look at that. That's very similar to the other one. Isn't it? It's kind of the same, isn't it? But it's not animated. It's still screwed up. Okay, would you... I don't know. It's still thinking. It hasn't said anything. I think it should... All right, it's probably still thinking. Yeah, I don't know if it's still thinking or if it's done, because it should give a little message that says, "Okay, I'm done. Here it is," or whatever. You know. It doesn't seem to be doing that. View sources, branch in new chat. Copy response. Huh. I guess it's done. I don't know. What is that's down? I think that's download, isn't it? Oh no, that's share. Okay, that's not it. There's download. There we go. So it didn't do an animated one. It just did an image of it. Oh shit! It's 1 o'clock already. All right, so that's all we're gonna get, I guess. All right, well that's pretty good. I can work with that and do an emote from that. If anybody wants a copy of that, I can put it here. I'll just put a link to it in chat here. Let's see. Copy link. Link copied. Let's see if this works here. Okay, there's a link to it. Hopefully that doesn't. Maybe I should have checked that out before I printed. I don't know if that's going to dox me or not. Let's see here. Yes, it does. Oh my God. There it is. All right. Yeah, let me know if that link doxed me or not. Because it's not supposed to do that. All right, I think we got it. All right, I want to do one more thing here. One more thing, because this is supposed to be a test stream. Is my this is good. It only when I go off camera to do some stuff and type some things and then come back. So I got to figure out why that does that. Why that freezes my camera like that. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to test out my this thing, because this is a test stream. So I will take my Wacom, whatever it's called, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go to the paint window. There we go. And then I'm going to try to paint. It's just to see if I can do that on screen. See if it messes up. Hang on. We'll do this. There we go. Very cool. It worked. I discovered something new too. This little thing here. If I ever want to do planets, I can do them this way. See, that looks like the moon. And if I want to do the Earth, I can go like this and grab that color. Not the scale. There we go. Isn't that cool? Lines. I figured out that I can click. I'm learning a little bit more about how this thing works. And I can just say click to there and that finishes. Alright, this seems to work. So that's cool. I wanted to check that out because that was part of the thing that I wanted to make sure worked with this new hardware. Alright, very cool. Alright. think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it Vulcan salute. I'm going to call that a double peace sign because that's what it looks like, right? Peace sign is like this, right? And so this would be a double peace sign, right? Like that. I guess it doesn't matter where your thumb is, right? That's a double peace sign. That's a single peace sign. That's a double peace sign. Whoops, wait, that I screwed up. There we go. Double peace sign. All right, that was it. That's all I had. Anybody else have any other questions? I don't think so. It's 1 o'clock. It's really late. I've been on here for 2.5 hours. It's supposed to be a test stream. All right, everybody. Oh, the last thing, got to check here. Oh, let me do shout outs to everybody. Now I got to try to remember who everybody was here. Let me do a bunch of shout outs here. Let's see. Memloss was in here. All right, that worked. Yeah, Memloss, he occasionally does IRL, but mostly he does Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto V. 5. Let's see. Flash was in here. Flash underscore. Let's see. How did he spell his name? I'm gonna come over here. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, I'm gonna try to do a because Flash is no longer in the thing here, and I don't know how to spell his name. Flash underscore X, I think it is. Wait a second. All right, we'll try that. I think that's it. There we go. I don't know if I spelled his name. Sorry if I spelled your name wrong there, Flash. Oh, okay. I got it backwards. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. All right, Flash underscore XE. All right, I was really close. There we go, Flash. All right, so some stranger out there got a shout out from me. It's gonna say, who's Double Tribble? Why is he shouting me out? All right. All right, let's see. We got Maddie. I don't think Maddie has started streaming yet, but they're seriously considering it. So give them a follow. Maybe that will incentivize them to start streaming. And let's see. I think Orange Hue. Orange underscore Hue. Oh shit! I thought it was a typo. What? Why did it do that? That was kind of weird. It shouted out somebody totally different than what I typed in. Orange. I got a new keyboard here too, also, that I found when I was rummaging around in my basement and stuff for hardware to try to get my machine fixed up. I found this keyboard. It's a really nice keyboard. It's heavy. It's Hewlett Packard. It's got all these knobs and stuff on it that I'm using it for different stuff. So it's really cool. But it's been sitting around for a while, so it's not. Sometimes when I hit the button, it doesn't connect the switch, because it's dusty or whatever. All right, shout out. Let's see, Maddie, Orange Hue. Is that every? Oh, hippity hoppity. Let's see if they stream. I gotta figure out how to automate all this stuff. I don't. Yeah, it's not automated at all here. I just gotta kind of do it manually. I gotta go to the card catalog and file through it and find a book on the shelf and to figure out if somebody streams. Okay, yeah, they don't stream. All right. I think they just stopped in to ask me if I eat porch chops. I think that's the only reason they followed, was so that they could ask me if I eat porch chops. All right, let me see here. All right, I think that's everybody. I saw somebody else that I know, but I think they were just lurking. I think they just popped up when I was looking here. If there's anybody else who's still here, who I didn't mention, who participated in chat, who wants a shout out, let me know, and I'll give you a shout out. But I try to remember all of them, but I don't. I should automate it somehow. You know what? AI could probably do that. Actually, I bet you I could ask AI to write a bot for me. I should do that. Maybe I'll do that on stream one of these days. Is ask AI to write a Twitch bot, because I have no idea how they work or anything, and that would be a good thing for because I'm sure the AI knows how to do it, right? And they could write it for me, and I could automate a lot of stuff. All right, I think that's it. I think that's everybody. I'm trying to remember if there's anybody else out there, but I don't remember. But I think that's everybody. If I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. All right, okay, I think we don't have enough people to raid. I got 5 people, but let me see. Let's see if there's somebody out there, somebody small that would like 5 people. Let's see here. I appreciate everybody stopping in and participating and helping me test my computer. Oh, Mimloss is out there. Let's see. Yeah, let's raid Mimloss. He was in chat here, so I don't see anybody else who is in chat. Who's out there? All right, let's raid Mimloss.
Jeremy_Gabe just followed.
Oh, wait. Oh, a follow. Jeremy Agape. Thank you, Jeremy, for the follow. I appreciate it. I don't know if my little alerts are showing up here or not. I don't see them. I don't know if they're showing up on the stream or not, but I do hear them, so I can see that you followed. Thank you. I appreciate the follow, Jeremy. I'm real sorry. I only got a little over 100 people here, so hello. Yeah, hi. We're just finishing up the stream. It was mostly a test stream, a lot of real scuff. So, but we talked about a lot of cool stuff, so it was still fun. All right. So my next test is to test my closing video or whatever. I got a thing here that I run that it's a new closing video, and I tried to automate my credits. I had them working automatically for a long time, and then it broke a while back, and I think I fixed it, so I'm not sure if I did or not. So we're going to raid out now, and I'm going to raid, let's see, raid at Mimloss. Aliens or demons? Yeah. We talked about aliens a little bit. Talked about conspiracy. I had conspiracy theories early on, and I thought that the chemtrail conspiracies weren't creative enough, so I inserted aliens into that Conspiracy theory. All right, here we go. We're going to start the raid with memloss. Then I'm going to try running my closing video. And then we're out. So I appreciate everybody stopping by. Thank you for stopping by. And let's see if it starts the raid here. Did it start the raid? I can't tell. Invalid username. Okay. I don't think it wants the @ sign. All right, there we go. All right, everybody. Oh shit, that was going too fast. Let me try harder here. All right, I'm gonna start my closing thing first, so that my credits get run, and then we'll raid memloss. All right, everybody, hang on for the raid if you can. Appreciate it. Thank you. That seems to be working. Seems like it's scrolling through something there. I don't know. All right. Yeah, I don't have a raid call, or you know, you can just type in whatever you want, I guess. he knows who we are. He was here in the thing. Yeah, this raid is taking a while to go.